Welcome to new episode of Ksau Master Talk. Today we have Dr. Saif as Dr. Saif. He is an associate professor of neurology at Harvard Medical School. He specialized in critical care and neuroinflammation. He leads the immunology CNS injury program, Mass General Brigham, where his research examined how immunopathway influence and recover after stroke and acute brain surgery. Dr. Saif, welcome to Ksau Master Talk. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for the kind introduction and for having me.
Let me start simple. What gets you into this field
Ah,
from
ah, th-
the beginning?
it's a fascinating field. Since medical school, I was very passionate about the brain, about the central nervous system, and get really excited to during the clinical rotation to be engaged in diagnosing these disease and the management. Despite this excitement, I was always frustrated with the lack of biomarker and advanced treatment to help these patients, and that really motivated me throughout my residency and fellowship training to find ways and engage in more advanced research, trying to identify potential biomarkers or mechanisms that could lead to improved functional outcomes.
So, research in special area like this, it can get some at some point very frustrating, right? What
Correct.
keep you motivated? What keep you going?
Correct. Yeah. I mean, the motivation comes from the passion toward treating these diseases. We know that these are very complex diseases, especially when it comes into the brain and the nervous system. So, as research goes, it's always by troubleshooting. We have to
Yeah.
always think about the problem and find ways to answer these questions. And that's what research is about. I wish that things are much easier, but having that dual effect, the brain itself, the complexity, the unknowns about that disease, always gets me as the researcher, part of me to be motivated, wake up working on several exciting projects that lead and fuel my energy to really come up with answers. We get frustrated many times
Yeah.
that when the experiment doesn't work or the hypothesis was not accurate, but that's what leads to the next question always and next experiment, and that's what keeps the field going in general.
So I know a lot of you about you, but the audience, what is the most? I know all your research, all your finding are your babies, but one must be one closest to your heart, and why?
Well, that's an excellent question. There are two very close to my heart. First is my work in modulating the neuroinflammatory response after brain injury and CNS injury in general, as we have made significant advances in understanding the role of regulatory T cells and their communication with other immune cells such as microglia and astrocyte, and their also novel communication with oligodendrocytes and neuroprogenitor cells, really very close to my heart as we are making major advances every day, where we're trying to test how they are communicating and how they are improving outcomes. In addition to that, we have now a novel way to expand these regulatory T cells physiologically and try to traffic them to go to the brains and spinal cord, and we have seen some improvement in outcomes. So we are more at the verge of translation to patients, which makes us even more excited as we get to the journey of move this field forward with the hope to improve outcomes for our patients. That's one. The other one is reframing neurotrauma as a chronic disease. As my work with and the precision medicine avenue with my team, we have identified many comorbidities that emerged in patients with traumatic and spinal cord injury. Now, also, this type of research is very exciting as we are now in a stage where we can endo phenotype these patients and try to find who is at risk and how can we mitigate these risks and push towards screening and prevention. These are the two most sort of exciting projects that we are working on, but they were
Your
also during
favorite babies?
the favorite babies, but we are also working on several others, which I'll considered as my other babies.
What makes them your favorites? Is it the challenge?
The challenge that comes with the troubleshooting that we have done 5 to 6 years of troubleshooting and and as we see the progress, they become more closer and closer
Sure.
to the end of that journey. So we hope that we get them to help our patients and improve their outcomes. So that's definitely. And at the end of the day, all these projects become uh, favorite babies at some point.
Yeah, I believe it.
Despite the troubleshooting, I think all end up in the same category,
Yeah,
but in different stages.
I know. Safe, you're well known as a great mentor, and I heard that from several people. What's your criteria to select people to mentor them, and what make you why the trainee under you they always say we had a great mentor?
Thank you for your kind mention of this. I think for me, mentorship it's bi-directional relationship. It's not one side, right? So during my journey, even as a trainee and a postdoc and resident and fellow, we always find ways of trying to communicate with the mentor, trying to find time to meet with them, get their advice. Sometimes we are successful, sometimes we are not, because either the mentor is busy or we are not sharing the same interest, research interest or clinical interest with the mentor. So there are so many, sometimes the right time, right relationship, right person, right? So the way I think about it, even now at the stage, the faculty stage where I'm able to mentor trainees, is comes into the criteria of the mentee, how much they are interested in the question that we are looking at, how much they are doing the homework of looking beyond what the task is and to reading the literature, preparing themselves to answer the question and asking when they don't know, they come and ask. And this is some of the early criteria that I look for, someone who share the same passion. Because you imagine mentoring someone that they are not interested in the brain or the spinal cord or in brain injury as a big theme, then I don't think we're on the same page in the get-go, right? So they might ask for different questions that might not be part of my interest. Then, of course, I'm not going to be as excited. That's why I think sharing the same passion now comes into, if I share the same passion with the postdoc or the PhD students or resident or fellow, then in general, then I go beyond. I walk the extra mile of often try to guide them through the right questions, the right hypothesis, and discussion. I'm well known that they can reach me at any time point,
This is
even
what I heard.
after midnight, anytime, because I get excited about these ideas, trying to discuss the project, try to troubleshoot that, and also think more about what's in it for them and what's in it for us. Because it's bi-directional relationship means when they are coming and helping in our projects and learning the tools and the skill set to do their work, they need also to have their own small baby and slash niche so they can grow out of that into their own area. Because at the end of the day, it's not a one way or the highway means if they end up helping in a project, they really need to find other ways to so they become first author or leading author on a project and also grow into a bigger role out of that. And luckily, we have been very successful in this relationship. Many of my mentees has been really identified their pathway. They've been successful, and again, it's not always the pink story, right? We sometimes end up start mentoring applicants and trainees, and then we share at some point our thoughts that they might be not the right synergy in terms of interest or passion toward it.
I
That's
like
fine.
this honesty.
And
Yeah.
that's fine. This is life, right? You
Mm.
come and try to study and try to look for the question. You might find yourself this is not the area of
What do you
interest.
do in this case? Do you
We It's
direct
a
them?
very healthy relationship per se,
Yes.
where
Mm.
you have to say, okay, what are the milestone? What's the expectation from both sides? What the expectation from the mentee, and what they are expecting from the mentor in terms of the assistant and to resources. Imagine you have a very sharp, dedicated trainee or postdoc um, who is really devoting the time and effort and doing the literature search, trying to do the experiment. But if I don't provide that trainee with the resources and they don't have the fund to buy their qPCR or do that sort of specific experiment to move to the next question, then it's on me. It's I'm not providing them with what they need, right? So and the same thing, if I'm providing the time and effort and the resources, and then the trainee is not doing the job or the milestone we agreed on, then it's also a no go. So that situation, it's a healthy discussion. We sit down, talk about that. That's why I think regular meetings,
It is.
being on the same page, having the milestone, ongoing discussions about the progress and the future direction is always healthy. Identifying their role. So, in the terms of authorship and things, if they are helping in the project, what's the expectation? You don't want to mislead them and
Mhm.
think that they are helping, and they might think their contribution is going to get them a first
Or
authorship,
over promise them.
or promise them that while some others gonna be the first author. That's also the healthy. So outline the the authorships, outline the milestone and the timeline for the study, outline what resources they need, and then having a healthy discussion of what's missing when there is a lack of progress, then what's missing, what's facing. Because sometimes you will be, and I'm sure you were in those situations where there is a family situation or
Yeah.
personal situation, then we can at least have a discussion and be helpful. Because at the end of the day, once we're working, where it's a team effort,
Yeah.
it's a multidisciplinary a team effort. They might need help, they might have more resources, then at least we can find ways to help them. And I think that really what made that journey successful so far, of being mindful of the trainee and their future and the resources that they need, and don't over promise, because over promising always gonna end up into an ugly relationship, because then there might be the expectation is too high for their own level of progress or journey. Then that also might they might expect to publish in Nature within a year. That's the
Yeah.
right away, not
Yeah. They
realistic.
come with all this passion. They think they can reach there in 1 year or two.
Correct. And sometimes the project, when we lay it, we do the study design and the outline, the resources. Clearly, it's a 3 to 5 years project, and then the expectation is they're gonna finish it in 1 year or two. They leave, then that might not be a healthy sort of mentorship from the get go.
Yeah. Well, what do you think you're enjoying more, doing the science your own or with the training people?
I think it goes hand in hand,
And
right? So we can always do the science with hiring employee that work with us. But remember, I mean, part of the training we learn as well, right? So when we ask a question, sometimes I know 50% of the answer. I think with them, we're gonna learn more and more as we both search the literature. We both try to ask more questions from different level of expertise. But then we always learn from whether the clinical training, from my residents, medical students. There's no stupid question. There's always good questions, and how much
they're
we're
there
going to
to
learn
ask
from these
questions.
questions. And I think it will make the project better and better.
Yeah.
So that's why in our lab, from the research side, we always try to read through and share some of the recent publication. We go through them, try to understand what did they do in a good way, what we could do better, and what are the knowledge gaps. And we learn out of each publication what are the gaps and how we can address them, and how can we make our project novel and what's missing. So it's healthy. Imagine doing that alone. It's boring, right?
Yeah.
Having the sharp, dedicated, hardworking
Mhm.
trainees, it's always a key. The same thing for the clinical training, right? The clinical training is fun because you get to teach very eager, motivated uh, residents who really need to know more about the disease, show them, seeing the excitement in their faces when they try to see and find the clinical signs or symptoms on patients and how they can piece up the puzzle between the presentation into the the testing into the imaging and come up with a differential and management plan. It's a journey, but being part of that journey has been very exciting. And that's why we do the faculty job. Otherwise, we can
Yeah.
switch career to different things.
That's
And the same exact rules apply for research. Same thing when we get the master's students or PhD students and try to walk them through these basic hypotheses into the journey of conducting the experiments and analyzing the data and discussion on until the last piece of writing the manuscript or the project. It's exciting journey.
it is. See, if let me shift a little bit. How important to have a collaboration within the institution and about outside the institution in science?
It's a major workforce. Collaboration is always a key. We cannot do things alone,
Definitely.
right? So we have to collaborate. We have to have the doors open. There's always chance of failure with these collaborations where both sides are busy and the project get left out from both sides. But it's always about finding the right collaborator who share the same vision, passion, and also level of expertise and team. They have to be also synced and work together. I think it's always a matter of assessing could be a good collaborator, but there's always chance that that might not go anywhere. But so far, our collaboration has been very successful at the locally at the Harvard Medical School, where my lab is collaborating with several other labs in different avenues. We collaborate at the level of the microbiome and studying that in traumatic brain injury, looking into other mechanism, even inside the immune response, right?
Yeah.
And neuroinflammation. We are more focused toward how innate immune system crosstalk with the adaptive. And but we collaborate with other labs that they do core innate immune response, inflammasome, and others, and we have
Mhm.
in-depth collaboration. Because again, we cannot do things alone. We have to work together, and that's actually encouraged not only at the Harvard Medical School but also nationally and National Institute of Health and many other funding organization would probably find you find better chance getting funded when it's a collaborative project
Definitely.
than you go a solo lab. There's always chance that might not go through, but also replication of data. When you have two or three teams working on answering question,
More
that
true.
always get it more productive in terms of replication and feasibility and also level of expertise and discussion toward the question.
Amazing. Let me finish with what's your recommendation for our student or the young scientist who would like to go in neuroscience?
I think it's probably one of the most exciting times in medicine, where neuroscience is finally getting a lot of attention from the funding organizations, from the policy and the laws, and also in terms of excitement and innovation and research. As we always say, many of those neurological diseases were untreatable. If you look at it in 20 years ago, now we have major advancements in many diseases and neurosciences such as multiple sclerosis and many others. The acute brain injury, stroke, still behind a little bit, but there's also major advancement of medical treatments that coming into thrombectomy and the advancement with acute stroke management. The advancement that's being made right now with many of the neuromuscular diseases, especially with the gene editing. So it's not a better time rather than now of joining the neuroscience journey and the expansion and research, the clinical and biomarker. It's a very good time.
Thank you, Saif, for sharing your expertise and your thought with us.
Absolutely, my pleasure. Well, good luck, everyone, whoever is hearing this conversation. I think the future is bright. There is huge hope for our patients who will keep our hard work and keep advancing science and break down silos, take the research from the lab to the bedside, and please join neuroscience.
I think Saif ended this time a lot better than what I'm going to end it. So, to the audience, I'm just going to see you next episode.